Okay, so today we are talking about adding and subtracting polynomials. This is section 1-4. Our essential question for today is to describe the steps to subtract polynomials. So we have a little bit of vocab that I want to talk about before we get started. And the first term that I want to define is polynomial. A polynomial is a sum of exponential expressions that have whole number powers. So for example, 3x plus 4 is considered a polynomial. Or 5x squared minus 3x plus 2 is a polynomial. Now, a polynomial just does not, x is not the only variable that can be contained in a polynomial, so we could have 3y plus 4, or we could have 3xy plus 4x minus 5y, or anything like that. So these are all considered polynomials. Next thing I want to do is look at the different parts of a polynomial. So I'm going to use the polynomial 4x to the 5th minus 2x squared plus 20. And I want to identify these different parts. So the first thing we're going to look at is something called a coefficient. So we have two different coefficients contained in this polynomial, but I'm going to talk about 4. For the sake of this term, this is a coefficient. And a coefficient is a numerical factor of a term. And it's in front of a variable. So basically what the coefficient does is it tells us how many we have of that term. So this is saying we have 4x to the 5th. So we could break this up and we would say we have x to the 5th, x to the 5th, x to the 5th, x to the 5th. But instead of writing it out 4 times, we're saying here that we have 4 of them. So it's 4 times x to the 5th. Right here we would have negative 2x squareds. The next thing I want to talk about is the degree of the polynomial. So this number right here, let me grab a different marker. This is the degree of the polynomial. And the degree of the polynomial is the highest exponent of the polynomial. So it doesn't matter how many terms you have, it doesn't matter what the exponents are in the other terms, the degree is always the highest degree of the polynomial. So if we were to look up to the ones we used as the example here, this x is to the first power, so this is a first degree. This x is to the second power, so this would be a second degree. The last thing I want to talk about is this term here, and this is what we refer to as the constant. This number has no variable attached to it, so this number will never change. Whereas over here, we can plug in different numbers for the x value, and in turn, that'll change this term's value. However, with the constant, its value is constantly going to remain the same. It's always going to be 20, regardless of what we plug in for the x value. And this is the term with no variable. So those are the different parts of a polynomial. So from here, I want to talk about like terms. Like terms are terms with the same variable to the same degree. So for example, 7x squared and negative 3x squared are like terms because they both have x squared, x to the second power. Now remember, the coefficients don't matter. That's just telling us how many we have of them. So we have 7x squareds here, and we have negative 3x squareds here. 2xy and negative 9xy are also like terms. They both have x to the first power and y to the first power. So a couple of examples of terms that are not like terms would be 7x and 3x squared. They both have x's, but they are not both x to the second power. Therefore, these are not like terms, and we cannot combine these two terms. It's kind of like a single cheeseburger and a double cheeseburger. They're two different types of burgers, so we can't lump them into the same category. 2x squared y and negative 9xy squared. They both have x's and y's, however, this x is to the second power, and this one is not. This y is to the first power, and this one is to the second. So those would not be like terms. We have standard form. Of a polynomial. This is when the terms are listed in order from the highest degree to the lowest degree term. So if we had a bunch of terms just randomly written down, let's say 7x minus 4x cubed plus 2x to the fifth minus 6x squared. And I wanted you to write this polynomial in standard form. Again, we're going to list our terms in order from the highest degree term to the lowest degree term. And the degree is the exponent. So this is our highest degree term. So that term comes first. So we have 2x to the fifth the next highest degree term is the negative 4x cubed, so minus 4x cubed. Then we have negative 6x squared. And then our first degree term in this case is the lowest, so plus 7x. So that would be our polynomial in standard form. And our very last vocabulary term is the word perimeter. Just a reminder that the perimeter is the distance around the outer edge of a two-dimensional figure. And if you were asked to find the perimeter of a figure, you're going to add up all sides of the figure. All right, so that is it for vocab. I'm going to go ahead and stop here, and I'll pick up GP number 1 in the next video.